In this world where so many elements of our lives are fully automated, the next natural step to take is to control the amount of light that comes into your dining room or your bedroom or your office. And so today we're going to explore the Blackout shade technology from the folks at SmartWings. We'll take it from unboxing to setup and even show you how it works in the end, straight ahead. Hello friends, welcome into Bill's Reviews and Tech Tips, and today we'll spend some time together unboxing this rather sizable package to reveal a pair of Blackout shades from SmartWings. And what makes them extra special is that these shades are electric and you can control them with a remote to determine how much light you want in the room that you're attempting to cover. Now, a little videography insider moment for you. Normally, I would never stand in front of a window with this much light coming in behind me. It looks super bright, doesn't it? Well, it is. I actually have another light throwing light on this side of me just so I'm not a silhouette to you. Why do I say that? Because when we're done with all of this, the hope is that the SmartWings shade that we put over this window will block out all of that light. And then we'll do the same thing in a bedroom nearby so that you can get a feel for how dark a room can get even during the daytime. Now I say all that because this is a super cloudy day and you can still see how bright it is back here. So first things first, let's open the box. I don't really know what's in here. This is a first for all of us as we get into the world of SmartWings and the world of high-tech shades that are controlled with a remote. I remember the first time I ever encountered electric shades was in a hotel room out in Hollywood several years ago, and I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And now that technology is available for you to explore and enjoy in your own home. So we'll see if SmartWings is all that it's cracked up to be. You know how like 2 seconds ago I said this should be a really simple and straightforward process? Well, this particular window has some unique characteristics to it that make this process a little bit more involved. The prior owners had the shades drilled and supported into the vinyl part of this window frame. I don't really think that's a super good idea, especially when we're mounting this electric shade because it's a little bit heavier. So I don't want to drill any more holes into vinyl. So instead, we're going to use the SmartWings side mount system. They include a couple of these brackets. And so the first thing we want to do is figure out where to put the brackets. And we're going to go, of course, on the side, thus the title side mount. And so we will begin by grabbing a little level. We want to make sure that the bracket is the same height on both sides of the room. We'll make a mark at the bottom of that bracket so we know where its base is. And then it's just time to attach the bracket to the wall, and then we'll move over to the other side. So this side mount process is a little bit different in that it adds an extra step, but it should provide us with a little more security since we have a fairly hefty blind going up. Get that right there. Okay, now we had a little bit of a surprise during our installation process that is not in any way the fault of SmartWings. Our prior shade, as I mentioned earlier, was mounted because they drilled it into the vinyl casing around the window. We didn't want to repeat that, so we decided to use the side mount process, right? However, using these brackets on the side mount means we're going to run into some of the beading that's underneath here that holds the drywall seams together. So now you can't just go straight into that and expect to drill a screw into it. You've got to do a little bit of work ahead of time. So we'll get into that. But first, the process, right? So we want to be level with the top of the sill right there. So we've got the level out. That part's good. We're going to mark the bottom of our bracket. And then we also have to drill inside, pre-drill inside the brackets before we try to put screws in there because we have all of this beading that we have to go through. So let me first grab the drill. We'll punch a hole through the beading that's in there. Okay, so we have the holes pre-drilled, so now we can attach the bracket and get it ready to attach the blind. Okay, so the motor is located here in the center of the blind. The battery came in its own package, which is here. You want to charge up the battery, or you can plug it in like to a hard connection at first while you're charging it. I actually put this on a charger during all of the time of our installation, and it's got a pretty good boost to it right now. So here's what's got to happen. One of the reasons that we mounted the brackets as far out from the window as we could was to leave room behind the blind to mount the battery, as opposed to having it in the front where it would be seen by everybody. Because even though this is a rechargeable battery, I don't think you want the cords hanging down in line of sight. So we're going to put this on the back side, and then we will plug in the motor to the battery before we mount the blind. So we are about ready to lift the blind onto the brackets. And because we did the side mount approach, it's a little bit more intricate and involved to attach the snap brackets to the side brackets. And there are some very tiny spaces up in there. Thankfully, my wife has smaller hands because I literally cannot get my fingers into there to tighten things up here. So that's one of the design aspects that I'm not a huge fan of. If you have to do a side mount, it seems like there should be some other attachment that makes that a lot simpler. Having said that, we've got everything in place. We've got the battery attached to the back. It's connected to the motor. So as we go up, there's a ridge inside the front edge of the blind. And it should be as simple as leaning it forward onto that front ridge of the white and then just snapping it down into place. And you should be able to hear a snap. As usual, her side, perfect. My side, not so much. So come over here, we have to tilt this just a little bit to get it to lock all the way in. And there you have it. I think. The proof will be in the pudding when we grab the remote and pair it to this blind so we can actually see it in operation. That's next. So after a fair amount of figuring things out, including how to side mount this blind, the good news is the remote fired up right out of the box. I didn't have any complicated pairing procedures, and the batteries were included. So here we go. Earlier on, when we first started this whole conversation and this whole review, I showed you how bright outside it was. And now look, as this blackout shade pulls down, obviously we left the top of the window open, but down here in the main part, and this being the dining room, you no longer will be blinded while enjoying dinner. So this is one shade. We believe the second one should be a little bit easier as we move into the bedroom for a true blackout shade experience. So we move into the master bedroom where, if it's a bright and sunny morning, you're waking up thinking perhaps you slept on the surface of the sun. So I'm looking forward to a blackout condition in here provided by the SmartWings shades. Now we have a little different mounting process than we had out in the dining area. Here, we're going to stick with the brackets that are literally installed on the blinds, and we're going to mount them underneath the windowsill. Now, there were some holes here previously. We have to move the center one over because center on the blinds is right where the motor is, so you have to shift that over a bit. And we know that the edges of all of this window are the beading for the drywall. So the first thing we're going to do is pre-drill a hole through the aluminum so that we can then get a screw into there and mount the brackets. We'll try that first, and then, please, 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 this process should be pretty smooth and quick. Okay, we have drilled the brackets right into the wall here. We're going to go with 2 of them because it's not quite as big a reach, and frankly, this was awfully hard to drill through. We've made a bit of a mess that will be covered up by the blind, and just as we did in the dining room, we've got the motor attached to the back side, and we're hoping there's enough clearance room to keep it on the back. If not, then we'll have to switch it over to the front. So just like we did before, there is a ridge inside the front of the blind. And all we have to do is put that ridge here on the white snappy bracket and hopefully snap that right into place. And I think we should be in good shape. Once again, the remote comes along with the unit and the batteries are included. I didn't have to do anything to pair this to that motor. The antenna, by the way, is on that left edge, but in close proximity, you don't have to visually see the antenna. And all we're going to do is hit the down arrow and set this blind in motion. And honestly, we've done nothing else to it except for put it up and connect the motor to the battery. When it comes time to charge the battery, we can reach around behind and slip the USB-C cord in that side, and it'll take a couple hours to charge things up. Meanwhile, as it's on its way down, we're going to turn off the main bedroom light, and then we're going to turn off this other studio light that I had in here, and then we're going to shut the door, and except for the natural light coming in from the master bath back here, my friends, we are basically in total blackout. I absolutely love it. I cannot wait to see what this is like on one of those incredibly bright summer mornings where in the past the sun has come in and literally just blinded everybody within a 10-mile radius. Not complaining about sunlight, by the way. Just saying it's going to be nice to sleep with some darkness. You do see a little bit of light coming in through the edges, and there are some edge strips available from SmartWings. We don't have those, and they would really officially kind of close off any of the remnants of light that you see there. But given what we were living with before, this is a world of difference. And there you have it, my friends, from unboxing to the setup to the assembly to the demonstration. That's our walk through the world of SmartWings as we know it. So thank you to SmartWings for this shade and the one in the bedroom. Just a few thoughts as we wrap up our time together. Number one, the technology is really cool, and I was super pleased with the way the remote instantly worked with the shade. I didn't want to go through any more pairing steps of anything. Number two, I am not a very handy person. And so there was a lot of trial and error for me along the way of getting these things installed, especially with this one being the side mount. I would appreciate some more robust instructions that doesn't just come from other users. We did sit down and watch a few tutorial videos, but oddly enough, none of them used the side mount. So you have that information from us, but it really took quite a bit of trial and error for us to get to that point. And as is often the case with products that we have that come into us in just big boxes, a little more instruction would be much appreciated, especially for those of us who aren't savants when it comes to home improvement projects like this. In the end, though, the technology is wonderful, and the demonstration in the bedroom of going from full light to absolute midnight darkness, that was pretty fun. One last thought before we go. When you decide to order SmartWings, make sure that you're very precise in your measurements because these are coming custom cut to the sizes you submit. So if you're off, the blinds are going to be off. And as you can tell, we've done a pretty good job of getting a tight fit around the window. And that's key. I mean, that's what you're doing this for to start with, is to cut down on the amount of light. Not all of their shades are blackout. You can see a number of options on the website. And if this review has been helpful for you at all, we'd love it if you'd A, hit the subscribe button, and B, check out the description below for our link to SmartWings that'll help us out a little bit as you pick up this kind of technology to become part of your home or office or whatever setting where you want to control the light. Thank you for being with us here on Bill's Reviews and Tech Tips, and we'll see you again next time.